Okay, we're going to talk about a fundamental and very important principle of Shou Shu called the floating foot. Floating foot is in the majority of your techniques. You'll see it all the time. Basically, what a floating foot means is that you're floating a stance. So you may be floating from one stance to the other, and that foot just glides above the ground, very close to the ground, so it can set down at any time, but will pass through those stances. So for example, if we were to float our foot, say we would go from a block and a chop, floating that, we would still maintain the horse stance, block, chop. Okay, so we have a smaller horse shifting to a wider horse. Or we could take that same thing and float, block, chop, heel palm, and again, we have the stances there. So we have our smaller horse, wider horse, hard bow, all done in our floating foot. That may go maybe into another weapon, say, but it may not. We may choose to, at that point, set down for another step or something. Depends on where your opponent is. One of the benefits of the floating foot is it puts your weight in your hands. So if you put your foot down, the weight is in the ground. But if he were to throw just a hooking punch, if my foot is in the air, I'm putting that weight in here. If I stop, it kind of exaggerates some motions, but you get the idea. Now, we could do the same thing if he throws the punch. If I'm block chop, you can see better that the weight is in the hand rather than setting it down. Okay, so, and again, if he goes, again, the weight is staying in the hands because that foot was just a little bit above the ground. Another aspect of the floating foot is it keeps the feet from being sticky or heavy to the ground. Where that's important is if there's a force coming at you, a push or a body falling into you or a punch, or in whatever way your opponent is creating force, that keeps you from sticking to the ground. What that means is if there's a force coming and my foot goes down heavy for that one split second, we are stuck to the ground. We cannot really control it. So then our upper body would maybe go past that and that would create an off-balance situation. But if the foot would float through that, we can control our distance line with our opponent. We can control the amount of force and where it's going, if we need to go back or go back and come back in, or what have you. So to demonstrate here, if say, for example, I were to push Mr. Robitel here, okay, he can maintain center line by keeping his back straight and his feet soft. Shang-Chi.